Eggnog. You either love it, hate it, or tolerate it because it's the only way to survive Christmas dinner with the family. But how did this creamy, spiced, boozy concoction become the official beverage of Christmas? Let's dive into the surprisingly weird history of eggnog, a drink that has no business surviving the centuries. To trace eggnog's origins, we have to go back to medieval England. Its ancestor was something called posset, a term likely tied to the old French word meaning a mixture. Posset, or posset, I guess if you're French, was a warm drink made of hot milk or cream, wine, or ale, and spices. Posset was often used as a cure-all, which, depending on the amount of wine, probably makes sense. It was basically the medieval version of NyQuil, but also alcohol was probably a great way to keep milk safer to drink in the winter months before things like refrigeration and pasteurization were invented. By the 13th century, monks in medieval monasteries, at the forefront of scientific and culinary innovation, started experimenting with whipped eggs and figs in their possets. But this wasn't a drink for the common folk. No. Eggs and cream and exotic spices like nutmeg were luxury items. This was a drink reserved for the elite, basically anyone that could literally drink their wealth. It even made guest appearances in Shakespeare. In Macbeth, Lady Macbeth uses a spiked posset to drug two unsuspecting guards in her husband's murder scheme. How festive of her! But let's get to the important part. Why eggnog? There are a few theories. Theory 1, it comes from the word noggin, which referred to a small wooden cup. Eggnog literally meaning eggs in a cup. Not the most creative name, but hey, medieval marketing wasn't exactly at the cutting edge. Theory 2, it's tied to nog, an old British slang term for strong ale. So, a drink of eggs and booze put together, you get eggnog. And theory 3, in the American colonies, and especially for pirates, thick drinks were sometimes called grogs. So eggnog might have started as egg and grog. Over time, the name stuck, blended together, and why not? But speaking of the New World, as eggnog made its way to the American colonies, it got a boozy upgrade, and this is probably why it's still around today. Thanks to the complex system of the triangle trade, a rum from the Caribbean made of sugar from the plantations was far cheaper than the European brandy and sherry used back in Britain. Thanks to all those import taxes you've heard so much about. Taxes and slavery? Well, it must be American history. Now combine rum with the abundance of eggs and milk from all the colonial farms, and eggnog becomes the party drink for all classes. And apparently nobody partied harder than the first president, George Washington. His legendary personal recipe called for 4 types of alcohol: rum, sherry, brandy, and whiskey. Less of a festive cocktail and kind of more like a challenge. It was so strong, you'd probably need a designated horse driver to get you home. Unsurprisingly then, eggnog even found its way into early American diplomacy. In 1815, at the signing of the Treaty of Ghent, which ended the War of 1812, Americans served eggnog to celebrate with the British. Imagine, 2 nations at war for a century united over a bowl of egg slop. But not all eggnog stories are heartwarming. In 1826, cadets at West Point threw a Christmas party featuring illegal eggnog. The school had banned alcohol, but that didn't stop these students from making their nog. When staff tried to intervene, things got out of hand, and the party escalated into what's now known as the Eggnog Riot. Now, all of this would probably be lost to drunken history, if not for the fact that one of these cadets was Jefferson Davis, future president of the Confederacy. Now, up to this point, eggnog was not just for Christmas. It was served year-round and usually hot, because nothing says the 4th of July to me like hot milk. But by the Victorian era, eggnog had become a Christmas staple. Families would whip up massive bowls of the stuff to share at holiday gatherings. It was the ultimate icebreaker or argument starter depending on the booze to nog ratio. And eggnog's popularity spread internationally. In Puerto Rico, you can get the coconut milk-based coquito, and in Mexico, rum-pope. And now we've arrived in the 20th century on our eggnog journey, where fueled by the dairy and egg industry as a way to pump up sales during the holidays, eggnog makes its way into grocery stores in pre-made cartons, where you still find it today. Fast forward to now, Americans consume over 15 million gallons of eggnog every holiday season. That's roughly 240 million cups. Love it or hate it, you gotta admit, that's a lot of nog.